At this time, I'd like to call a regular scheduled village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it's Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Let the record reflect that it is 7:31 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Burke. Here. Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Here.
Trustee Galante. Here. Trustee Glatz. Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Here, thank you. Item number 1, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda. Is such a motion?
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 2, at this time, I'd ask for consideration to approve the minutes of the regular village board meeting that was held on January 7th, 2020.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, clerk.
I'd like the board to consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-001, recognizing the Tinley Park Bulldogs cheerleading team on their achievements.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, clerk.
I'll begin by reading the resolution. Whereas the 5th grade competition team finished their spectacular year closing the season, winning second place at the 2019 Illinois Recreational Cheer Association state competition on December 8th. And now therefore be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook, and Will Counties, Illinois, that January 21st, 2020 be designated Tinley Park Bulldog Cheerleading Day in the Village of Tinley Park in recognition of the Cheer Recreational Division C 5th grade Bulldog cheerleading team, and urge all citizens to join together and congratulate this Bulldog cheerleading team on their achievements. Be it further resolved that the following CREC 5 Bulldog cheerleading team members be recognized: Kim Allison, Leah Barkin, Gianna Cozzolino, Gigi Cregan, Hope Fazekas, Grace Garrity, Nicole Gluck, Gianna Goodwin, Abby Harris, Maddie Juergens, Ellie Martino, Samantha Mize, Brooklyn O'Reilly, Eleanor Ponson, Malia Randall, Nora Ryan, Lila Stewart, and Katie Barkin, coach, Carrie Fazekas, coach, and Lindsay Beck, coach, Aaron Stewart, cheer director, and Lindsay Cregan, assistant cheer director. I'd like to invite them to come up, please.
Come on all the way up here. Girls, all the way up.
We gotta do a cheer, girl?
Cheer. Have a cheer. Ready, girls? Take it away.
5, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are Bulldogs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back for the title. Back for the win. South Side champions. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Catch us at the top. We won't back down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tinley Park, the blue, gold, and white. Here to win. Never say
Thank you so much for having us. We are so excited to come here today. Receiving our second place at Irish Day was something that we really worked hard for all season. We practiced, we got 3 bids to state out of the 4 competitions that we did. And I'm sure that the girls thoroughly enjoyed saying the cheer one more time because we have said it over and over again for so many months. We have heard that in our sleep. So I'm just very thankful, and I just love this organization and these girls, and they worked really hard and deserve it.
You're here. Okay.
Congratulations. Good job.
Trophy. Who's got the trophy?
Thank you.
It's unfortunate.
We've already been talking about, do we get her into gymnastics?
Maybe we should have him come back and cheer for each ordinance.
Yeah.
Like golf. I want to get her into golf.
All I have to do is wait. That's all I'm talking about. Should kept it for public comment.
All right, as they continue to exit, we'll continue on with our agenda this evening. We'll move on to item 4. I'd ask to call upon trustee Bill Brady to read the item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to have the board consider adopting Resolution 2020-R004, recognizing the Kowalczyk family for winning ABC 7 Chicago's 2019 Christmas Great Chicago Light Fight.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you.
Well, this resolution celebrates Kowalczyk family. Let me read it. On December 20th, 2019, Kowalczyk family, residents of Avon Lane.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
Oh. Was recognized by ABC 7 Chicago as the overall winner of their annual Great Chicago Light Fight. And whereas their display achieved national recognition and brought holiday cheer to our village, community, and whereas the Kowalczyk family raised funds for charity for visitors to the display totaling almost $21,000 that we donated to our local nonprofit Together We Cope. Therefore, be it resolved by the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois, that the Kowalczyk family be celebrated in their accomplishments and the community building spirit approved this 21st day of January 2020. I'd like to present to you with this resolution. I'd like to get...
Dominic, you want to come up? Feel free to address the board, and then we'll do the formal presentation. You want to talk us through your process. It's pretty interesting.
Sure, yeah, it's been a long year, and we've had a lot of help from a lot of friends, a lot of family from the village for a lot of days out there directing traffic and everything, so we greatly appreciate all the help and the support, and, thank you guys for this. Glad to raise the money for Together We Go, it's a great organization, and hopefully we can raise even more next year.
Very good. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Bill, would you like to give him the formal resolution? Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Item number 5, at this time I'd ask the board for consideration to receive a presentation from Mr. Peter Dumont of the Hart Group, updating activities at the Tinley Park Convention Center and their hotel. Mr. Dumont and Mr. Fitzgerald, please step forward. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you. Happy to be here. It's really cool to be here when the season is celebrating. That's awesome. My name again is Peter Dumont. I'm the president of Hart Group. We acquired the Holiday Inn, Tinley Park a little over a year ago now, and have recently started a conversion from the Holiday Inn brand to the Even brand. So just wanted to provide an overview to the board and to the community about that selection process. To give a very brief overview of kind of what went into our decision-making process, a lot has changed in the hotel industry in the last really 3 to 4 years. It's been fairly transformational. There are roughly 5 very large brand families: Marriott, Hilton, IHG, which is the parent of Holiday Inn and also of Even. Hyatt and Wyndham are really the 5 biggest brand families. And what's happened, really in the catalyst, was a merger between Marriott and Starwood, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. Whereas they used to have a consolidated group of, say 5 to 10 brands in each of these families, they've now just exploded. Marriott has roughly 34 brands. Hilton just announced another one this week, and which name I don't even know. And I think they've got about 18 or 19. IHG has 16 in their portfolio now. Wyndham's got roughly 15 to 16, and Hyatt, I think, has about the same. So there's, in just those 5 big brand families, and there's probably another 20 smaller brand families, there's just been a proliferation of these brands, and in each of them, fighting for a more carved up niche within different segments of the industry. So that made selecting a brand extremely challenging for us, because the reality is the travel market, while it's growing at 3% a year, and these the overall brand quantity has been growing at about 20% a year. So that leaves a smaller piece of the pie for all of these individual brands, and it makes it a much more difficult sell. Even is a brand that was founded by Holiday Inn a couple of years ago, and it's a wellness-focused brand. So we say, why wellness? Well, surveys have said that there's more than 60% of people between the ages of 23 and 38 list the health as the most important thing in their lives. At home, keeping a healthy routine and staying in control is easy. When traveling, wellness routines are not quite as easy, and studies have shown that good habits can be formed within roughly 2 weeks of consistent activity. Bad habits the same way. 2 weeks where you don't work out, you lose your discipline. So never before has there been a hotel at a mainstream price point where wellness is focused. There's always been a lot of high-end luxury spa destination type brands like Canyon Ranch, where there's maybe a dozen or so in the world, and they're $1,000 a day all in. So that's obviously not a very repeatable platform. Even is trying to hit it at a price point that works in hundreds of locations across America. And they've hit this unmet need. So where we're trying to, in this slide here, I know it might be hard to see for the audience, but basically on the left axis, from low to high, is really the price point and the positioning from mid-scale to luxury. And then on the lower axis, we've got really 3 distinct segments within the hospitality industry. One is wellness and lifestyle enabling. The other one is a kind of a newer lifestyle set of brands, and then traditional hotel and mainstream. So on the far right, you see the Holiday Inns, the Marriott Courtyard, Sheraton, DoubleTree, Marriott's, and Hilton's, and then at the high end, Fairmont, as an example. I would also put Ritz-Carlton next to Fairmont. Then there's a bunch of new brands in the quote-unquote lifestyle segment, like True by Hilton, Aloft, Canopy by Hilton. Aloft is now a Marriott brand. AC Hotels is a Marriott brand where they acquired an Italian hotel company, and they're now building quite a few of them throughout North America. W Hotels is one of the pioneers of the, kind of the boutique brand. There are always a lot of boutique hotels, but there were one-offs. Now, W came and said, okay, we're a boutique brand, and we're going to have, locations around the world. And then Andaz is Hyatt's boutique brand. And then you go to the left, what are the wellness and lifestyle enabling brands? There's Element, which is an extended stay brand that is actually Element by Westin. There's Westin itself, which pioneered Heavenly Bed, Heavenly Bath, and was also the first non-smoking brand. Four Seasons has always had a very heavy spa element and wellness built into theirs. Equinox, the health club chain, actually has a few hotel locations now. And Canyon Ranch, as I mentioned before, is probably the most luxurious brand in the spa and wellness space. And then Even is really at a price point just above a Loft, similar to Marriott and Hilton, really above Sheraton and DoubleTree, but has the positioning of a health and wellness brand. Part of that positioning is in the guest room itself. There is a zone inside the guest rooms that has an exercise ball, and then kind of attached to the opposite the headboard, there's a wall where we've got kind of a desk, case good piece, the new 55-inch televisions, and then there's actually a bar that is attached to the wall, yoga ball, exercise mat, and then there's TRX bands off of that bar. And then on the TV itself, which is on a swivel, there's preloaded, roughly a half a dozen at a time, workouts with personal trainers. So you've got, really have the virtual trainer on your TV, and you can pick from a 10-minute workout to, I think, a 45-minute workout on the high end, and they'll work you through a bunch of different exercises with the equipment that's in every room. So it's part of our selection process. That was really important to us. I think, as many of you know, our largest customer, and one of the biggest customers in the entire South Side, is Canadian National Railway. They've got a big training center in Homewood. Part of their training and part of their job is they're carrying, when they're connecting these trains, these big steel chucks that weigh about 60 pounds apiece. So in talking with them, the ability for their people and their employees to work out in the solitude of their guest room is really important to them. The other thing we're doing that is important is we're basically doubling the size of our workout center on the first floor to have more equipment, more weights, different types of workouts available to our guests. So that's very important as well. Even is really, kind of in the new upscale brands, and it's the industry has really sliced and diced itself, candidly, I think, too far and too much, to where there's dilution among a lot of these brands. That was candidly one of our concerns in looking at, DoubleTree and Sheraton. We made a commitment, and regardless of what our decision was going to be, it was going to be a 15 to 20-year commitment. So we wanted to make sure that we were looking at what's going to be successful for the next 15 or 20 years, not what was successful the past 15 or 20 years. Because hospitality brands have a tendency to, be the it thing and then 10 years later be obsolete. So we're very cognizant of avoiding that. So in this, kind of upper upscale to near luxury segment, as I mentioned before, you got Hilton, Marriott, Even. Hotel Indigo is another Holiday Inn brand. Kimpton was kind of the pioneer of the entire boutique industry, and then that company was actually acquired by Holiday Inn. Westin, then Hyatt came up with their Hyatt-centric brand. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with all of these different brands, but that's kind of what we're dealing with now. It's just this explosion of new brands and segmentation in the industry. So we think this is the right brand at the right time, and also definitely in the right place. We're basically going to be an exception to the rule with Even, in that most of the brand platform is going to be newly constructed. They have had a couple of renovations, one very similar to ours down in Sarasota, Florida, and post-renovation that's doing very well. Within the IHG family, 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been a huge fan of IHG, but they've, as I mentioned earlier, they've now acquired Kimpton. They've acquired Regent, which is one of the most luxurious brands in the world. They have Six Senses, which is a resort company that they bought last year for about $500 million, and they're now expanding that, in a lot of resort destinations around the world. And then Hotel Indigo is definitely gaining its momentum. So that's kind of their upscale segment. The reason this is important, to Tinley Park is that whereas, again, 10 years ago they didn't have the kind of the vertical integration in all their brands. Now they have the benefit, as Marriott and Hilton also have, of having a hotel in almost anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, there's an IHG brand in that location. And they're actually better at, kind of the Holiday Inn Express has, and Staybridge and Candlewood has distribution virtually everywhere you go, you can find one of them. But now they've got, and that for the business traveler, this collects a lot of points. Now at the top of the market, they've also got places to spend those points. So we're a very now, point-friendly brand family. Another key driver is, it's actually under construction right now, but where the front desk used to be, we've now built a wall, that's all under renovation. And that is going to be, kind of back where our back offices used to be. That is becoming a concept called Pork and Kale, which is a really two-meal. It'll be, and then kind of grab and go during the day. And so that'll serve as the kind of the hotel restaurant, for lack of a better term. And then what is currently the banana space, we now have a blank slate and can create a destination restaurant, not only for our hotel guests, not only for the convention center, but for the entire community. So we're working with an extremely well-known downtown group to transform that into a kind of a bar and grill or a gastropub concept, chef-driven food, but really fun. Expect to have a lot of live music. We want to be a destination for the community. So after the Bulldogs win, where do they go celebrate? It'll be at our location, which we've not come up with a name yet, but we're trying to make it very much a local product. We expect that this will drive sales roughly 400% higher than they are now, and I believe that'll generate roughly another $100,000 a year in tax base for Tinley Park. Again, new and exciting fitness concept. So this is a fitness room at another Even hotel. So definitely a lot more expansive, better lighting, better TVs, better equipment than what you're typically used to seeing at most hotels. I'm now going to turn it over to Dan Fitzgerald, who is our managing director for the convention center. We've only been discussing this publicly since we closed our renovation loan roughly, 4 or 5 weeks ago. And we're already booking lots of new business due to this transformation that we're going to bring about. And then Dan will also give an update kind of on the business activity that we've had the last year or so.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. And before I get started, I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank this board and this group of individuals that for 10 years have been putting up with my silly jokes and been such a great support for the convention center. Every time there's something that comes across that needs to be addressed, everyone addresses it as a team. Everyone from Kevin and John's guys to the police department, Pat's guys, Donna's people, really appreciate it. And of course, Brad. So thank you all very much. So some of the activity we've had, everyone knows the reptile show comes every year, big revenue generator. The veterinary medical people started in 2019. They weren't going to come back in 20 until they knew we were renovating, so now they're booked through 22. Funeral directors are back this year, and that's a great catch because that was a result of Pheasant Run closing. The school counselors is new, and that's through the renovation. Intensity Dance is a week-long dance competition in June. Another perfect fit for our brand is Wings of Strength, because that's an international bodybuilding show, which fills the community over 4th of July weekend, where before it was here before 2012, there was very little activity in the hotels. There's a lot of overflow. LA Fitness blows up with Wings of Strength. Any of you who works out there knows that. The arborists come back every year, and then CRC is right on 183rd Street, so we get a lot of their business. Coldwell, Dutch Farms, all annual events. So all excited about the renovation. Here is a economic impact study, and what this tells you is what a person spends things on every time they come to a show. So you've got food and beverage. This is a per day expense. All those things add up, and then the average rate the person pays for the room, which we figured out $135. And then when you bring it to the bottom, so the slide before, we looked at 22,000 or so folks, 15 or so thousand attendees, and then you can see what tax benefit it is for the village on sales tax and on occupancy. Okay, some of the initiatives we have going on right now. We have the return of Paragon Leather Motorcycle Show. They've not been here since 2012. The golf show we've taken over and brought it back for this year, so we're excited about that. We've done some activation already with the Convention Bureau. We have a 5-state sales blitz going on with them to get some new business in. Last year, we brought Easter Mother's Day brunch back and got good reviews, so they're coming back this year. And so also, because of the fitness brand, you know, Canadian National, as Peter mentioned, this is a really big thing to them in terms of what their folks need to do to pass all of their testing. Cork and Kale, as we mentioned, is going to be the second outlet. And then this is the real success story. We're sharing this with you because it's shows really what has happened over the years since the expansion of the convention center. And in that time, an aggregate 64%. And here we have average daily rate compared to revenue. And you can see between 2017 and 18, an 8% spike in revenue. So for the 18th year of a business, that's pretty good, 8% growth. Average rate along with that. And then occupancy as well. And you can see the spike in occupancy in that same 2018 period. So that's up almost 11 points over 2016. And then RevPAR is what your profit is, and that's revenue per available room. So in our hotel, that's 73,300 rooms a year. You take that 7 million, divide it by the 73,000, and then you get your RevPAR. But where we're positioning this now, we've grown the rate as far as we can with the Holiday Inn brand. And the way we match up with the convention center, it's really going to be a winner for us. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to answer any of your questions. In terms of kind of future revenue growth post-renovation, we would expect, you know, somewhere in the first 18 months or so post-renovation, a 10 to 15% increase in our ADR. I expect our occupancy also to go up a little bit. So again, that RevPAR, you know, I would look in the first year or two for aggregate about 15% growth in our revenues. And given the fact that we'll have a, you know, fully renovated, and we're putting about $10 million into the existing plant there right now, I would expect that the, you know, economic impact on that from increased bookings at the convention center will help all of the other hotels throughout the area. So, you know, hopefully, knock on wood, we deliver a lot more hotel tax for you and food and beverage tax as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Thank you for coming, Peter. What you guys have been doing is great. And I want to thank the guy back there, Dan Fitzgerald, for what he has done with the convention center and everything. Is just short of amazing. He is we're very lucky to have him running that place.
I just want to say, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say if there's any
I'm
questions.
excited about you coming. I think it's something, you know, we could use here. And the restaurant will have healthier flair to it,
That'll be part of the menu. I've tasked our team with creating the best cheeseburger in Chicago. So I'm not sure how healthy that'll be, but it'll definitely have some healthy options, yes. The Cork and Kale concept has, you know, like, you know, fruit smoothies and stuff in the morning, you know, protein drinks, that type of thing, which, you know, most hotels don't have that as grab and go. It's, you know, coffee and a, you know, sausage and egg sandwich. But, you know, Cork and Kale has that. You know, the restaurant, we're definitely going, you know, with a nice gastropub mix. But if you want to stay healthy, we'll have something on the menu for you for sure.
hopefully, yeah, I mean, your guests would want something, I mean, I know I would look for something healthy if I was staying there.
I appreciate it. I think it's an excellent concept, and I think, you know, when you shared the new restaurant, you know, it kind of put me over the top on it. I was really, really excited about what you guys are doing there. So thanks for sharing everything.
Okay. And again, the golf show is the weekend after the Super Bowl. If anyone has an interest in golf, definitely get out there. Dan's done an amazing job. That's one of the key initiatives when we took over is trying to fill empty space by creating our own demand. So we did that with the Mother's Day brunch, Easter brunch, and then the golf show. in a February weekend, we're going to fill the place up. And we expect, roughly 10 to 15,000 people coming through Tinley Park for that. So it's exciting. And the idea is each one of these will build on itself and then become self-sustaining, and then we can pick another slower demand period and come up with another crazy idea. So thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it. And
Mr. Duan, could you please touch upon the Rich District 227 programs that you also have with the students?
Yeah, Dan is more involved in that than I am. We've, when we made the deal, when we acquired the hotel, we put together a package to employ on a part-time basis some Rich High School students. We posted, as we're obligated to do. I know a lot of different job positions, both front of house, back of house, and for renovation. So, I can speak to that.
Yeah, we've also been involved in the design of the kitchens for 227 and 159. We've been involved in their graduations, of course. And also, they've brought some other terrific events. We're doing some tours for the students, sort of like field trips, day in the life of a hotel. And then also in some of the internship programs, really fine-tuning, putting it out there. We have a secure website, so the kids can actually go into the Tinley Park website. There's a Rich Township password where they can go in to that secure area and see what's available. So it's worked out very well.
We thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Sounds like the only thing you're missing is a trolley. It's the only thing you need. That's another subject.
Or a gondola.
Oh, we got you.
Downtown Convention Center, amphitheater.
There you go.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. No actions required for that item, so we'll move on to item 6. Trustee Glatz.
Consider receiving a presentation of a Technical Innovation Award from the Southwest Branch of the American Public Works Association for the North Street Construction Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
The Southwest Branch of the American Public Works Association recently presented the village with a Technical Innovation Award for its North Street Reconstruction Project. The APWA cited the project's use of permeable interlocking paver stones as a major factor in its decision to select North Street as the award recipient. The interlocking paver stones help to capture almost 60,000 gallons of water at the front end of any storm, which prevents runoff within the North Street right-of-way. This 1.3 million project was completed in 2019 and was funded in part by a $200,000 green infrastructure grant from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. Work included reconstruction and beautification, including new paver stones and crosswalks that resemble piano keys. In addition to Public Works Director Kevin Workowski and his team, the North Street project included Robinson Engineering, Austin Tyler Construction, and LPS Pavement Company.
You want to read the plaque as well?
Yeah, so the plaque is, from the American Public Works Association, presented to the Village of Tinley Park for the North Street Reconstruction Project, Oak Park Avenue to 173rd Street. And Ryan Anderson is president of Southwest Branch. I'd like to present this to Chris King and Van Calambaris. Can you come up here too? And Bill, can you?
Sure.
How about John Urbanski, too?
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Thank you. Item 7, Trustee Galante.
I would like to make a motion to consider the appointment of Andrew Brown position of the Assistant Finance Director, Assistant Treasurer.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
The village recently conducted a recruitment for the position of the Assistant Finance Director, Assistant Treasurer. 12 applicants were received, and quickly, a short list of 3 candidates came down to. 2 candidates were requested to participate in the second interview with our panel, and Andrew Brown was identified as the most qualified to fill the vacancy. Mr. Brown earned his Bachelor of Business Administration from Western Michigan, University of Master of Professional Accountancy from Elmhurst College. He previously served at the town of Cicero as a senior accountant, and most recently is at the village of Buffalo Grove as the Deputy Director of Finance, where he has directly been involved in the community and economic development, as well as government finance. Mr. Brown has served as the Illinois Government Finance Officers Association, Executive Board, Continuing Professional Education Committee as the chair of the Growth and Engagement Network. In his free time, he is head coach of the Orland Park Vikings Hockey Club and the Park Ridge Express Hockey Club. Consider the appointment of Andrew Brown to the position of Assistant Finance Director, Treasurer, effective January 22nd, 2020.
Very good. Any comments from the board? We'll call a roll on this, and then we'll invite Mr. Brown up.
Trustee
Call roll.
Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Galante?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Motion will carry. Mr. Brown, would you like to step forward? Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the village president and the board for my appointment to this position. I very much look forward to getting started. It'll probably be over the next 2 weeks. I'm a little bit conservative, so I wanted to make sure it was in stone before I let my current employer know, but I do look forward to starting here soon, joining the team and making an impact and continuing the great things that are being done here in Tinley Park and serve the village and its residents to the best of my ability. So thank you again for my appointment. I appreciate it and look forward to getting started working with you all.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here. Congratulations to your family. Thank you. Item number 8. This time I'd ask for a motion, consider approval of the following consent agenda items. Is there such a motion?
There is a motion. Second.
Motion and second. Madam Clerk, can you call these on the record, please?
Item A, consider request from the Knights of Columbus to conduct a Tag Day fundraiser on Friday, September 18th and Saturday, September 19th, 2020, at certain intersections in the village of Tinley Park. Item B, consider request from Park Lawn to conduct a Tag Day fundraiser on Friday and Saturday, April 10th and 11th, and Friday, April 17th, 2020, at certain intersections in the village of Tinley Park. Item C, consider request from the Knights of Columbus to conduct a raffle on Saturday, April 4th, 2020, at St. George Church, 6707 West 175th Street, with the maximum value of the prize not to exceed $12,025. Winners will be drawn at the church. Item D, consider payment of impact fees in the amount of $7,600 to Kirby School District 140 from the escrow fund. Item E, consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-002, releasing the letter of credit issued in relation to 179 OPA LLC's foundation-only permit for Union Square Townhomes development. And lastly, item F, consider payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $2,803,521.86, as listed on the Vendor Board Approval Report dated January 10th and January 17th, 2020.
Thank you, Clerk. Does any board member care to remove any of these items from consent? Let the record reflect there's none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz. Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance number 2020-0-003, granting a map amendment rezoning for 2 properties located at 17100 and 17110 Harlem Avenue for their existing B4 and R1 zoning districts in the B1 zoning district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The petitioner, Vanquity LLC, is seeking to rezone the 2 properties located on the southwest corner of Harlem Avenue on 171st Street from their current zoning to B1 Neighborhood Shopping Zoning District. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow for the construction of an automotive service station. The proposed gas station includes 10 vehicle fueling stations and a 3,511 square foot convenience store building. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on January 2nd, 2020, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the map amendment in accordance with the plans as listed in the listed reviewed plans and facts of finding in January 2nd, 2020 staff report.
Thank you, Mike. This is up for first reading. Any comments from the board?
Before we hear comments, I know we went above and beyond for this particular property. Would you like to kind of just explain how we communicated this one out?
Sure. And if there's anything you want me to brief the board on, just the project itself, I'd be happy to. Essentially, when we were approached by this development team to redevelop this site for a potential gas station, staff did raise concerns about the use, its proximity to residential homes to the west, as well as what the comprehensive plan and the zoning was for the area, knowing it was transitioning ultimately from single-family to non-residential. However, we really tasked the developer to put forth an effort to really ensure that they're doing their best to communicate with the residents and make sure that there's no negative impact. So we did our traditional notice, which is required by state law, a 250-foot notice from the property to all residents informing them of the public hearing. We did not receive any additional feedback at that time, but we also tasked the developer to personally try and meet the residences on the street just to make sure they were, aware of the project. And then lastly, prior to tonight's meeting, we sent another notice out, which again gives basically what's almost in your packet to the resident, a site plan, an elevation, again, just trying to elicit any conversation or concerns. We had one conversation with the immediate property owner who abuts this to the west, who we've seemed to kind of, address some of their concerns. One other resident reached out just wanting to know what it was, but they didn't leave their contact information. But as of date, we haven't heard anything else. So we really tried to make sure we did our best to inform the community of the potential change at this corner.
Thank you.
Notice was given to commercial properties there too, I think, right?
Yes, but we were doing an additional to the residents.
Anybody else from the board?
So did we talk to anybody, communication with anybody else besides one person there? We are asking to change zoning, right? That was zoned for family homes, which there's a whole block of family homes. And it was supposed to be it was zoned for, small businesses, offices. We're gonna change that to make it, so there's gonna be a gas station, and we've all, personally, I sat and talked to so many residents at Lenny's about the same issue with this gas station that was already there, and there was nothing we could do. Okay, we went through all that. Now we're gonna change zoning to allow that. I think we need to do more to make sure the residents that have homes there understand what's going on, because we all know that people don't pay attention to flyers. We're changing, people bought homes there. We should do a little bit more, I think. I think we could do better than just sending out a notice. Yeah, I get it, that's the check the box that we have to do, but these are our residents, and we had a room full of residents here when Lenny's was just asking to be annexed in. I think we could do more. This is my mic.
I don't think it's yours, Diane. I think it's the floor one, actually.
Kimberly, sorry, you done?
I have more questions about the project in general, but right now we're just talking about rezoning. Can I bring up my question?
No, you can bring up your question.
I'm concerned a lot, too, about just the traffic over there. So going in and out of the post office, I use that route a lot. So now we're going to allow people to cross in front of the post office, cross over the median to go into behind the, this all doesn't sound right to me, that we're going to cause so much traffic issues there. Some of it, I don't understand. There's a lot of variances, we're gonna let all that go. I'm not comfortable with this. It seems like we're trying to squeeze something in, and it's probably a very nice project, but squeeze something into a space that it wasn't really meant for. And now we're gonna change everything, we're gonna change zoning, we're gonna give up variances, everything to allow it. I just think it's a mistake to do this, so without doing a little bit more, making sure that the residents over there with their homes know what's gonna happen.
Mike, you had something?
Did you said 250 feet, did that cover the whole block or just 250 feet?
It's 250 feet, so you go from the lot line and go 250 feet out.
No,
So really, it's that eastern side on Conto.
Oconto.
All those residents. And then when we sent our notice for tonight's meeting, we just took it and did all the way down on that east side, all the way down to the other intersection.
Okay, no, I know it's 250 feet. I just wondered if, Mike said he went above and beyond, if by any chance you did the whole block. So you didn't do the whole block until today?
Correct.
Well,
The
about a
notice
week
was
and a half
sent
ago,
out,
2 weeks ago.
yeah.
What do you mean by the
So-
whole block? Both sides? Are you talking about both sides of El Canto? Is that what you mean by the whole block?
So what actually did you send out to on Oconto?
Per the direction, we just did that east side of Conta, that abuts that.
From
whole-
171st all the way till it ends?
Mhm. So from the bank. on
171st to
all the way
173rd
down.
Street.
Because traffic will now come on that street to go behind the bank, to cut it, to drive
Yes.
in, right?
Every day.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure, I mean, this is people's homes there.
So we didn't do 250 feet. We did the whole block, correct?
The east
Or
side of the
not?
block, correct.
Okay. And then, did you have the developer, have they gone out there and spoke to all the residents?
Correct. I believe the date was around November 22nd. They went out there and knocked on doors. I think they only talked to 2 residents, and then they sent their own certified letter out in addition to ours, again, trying to solicit people to contact them. And I don't know if they received any additional calls, but I didn't think they did. So they
Mr. Sassen?
also.
Thank you. For the record, David Sassen, on behalf of the petitioner. This matter has been going on for quite some time, and there's been all sorts of communication, not only with the staff, but with the village. And it's been very clear that those houses need to go, and we need a better one. 7-Eleven has done some pretty extraordinary things in order to.
On Harlem,
construct
Diane.
the staff
Not-
in terms
Okay.
of this plan, and every aspect of it was vetted very carefully with the plan commission. There have been numerous changes. For example, they eliminated the car wash that was part of the plan because of the noise factor. Our client did try and reach out in several different ways beyond just the notice from the village, and we received very little negative notice. And if you really look at the plan, we talk about houses behind it. We're taking down the house to the south, and that whole block, that will start a trend of development in there, and to clean it up. In addition to that, this has been trying to be marketed for a long period of time, and it is a gas station, there's no question about it, but it's also a gas station that's kind of state-of-the-art. The lighting is state-of-the-art. We've shown through the lighting plan that there'll be no impact at the property line. And I think another consideration always is what else would go there. It's not, there's been no interest in office, and office buildings right now are at a point where there are other places, if any, they're going, and there are not many going up. But we think, looking at this, that a lot of the other uses you're gonna be confronted with have the word drive-through attached to it. This is not a drive-through. This is, the back of the building is very tasteful. We moved everything as far away as we could. And if you really look at it, the houses are really kind of behind the bank. They're not here. As far as the access, it lays out fairly well. There is an easement through the bank. So if somebody is going west on 171st Street, they're not gonna cross over the median to get in there, because they can't the way the pavement is designed. They're gonna go to the street and make a left into the bank and across. Most of the traffic is not gonna go
But they
there.
could, I mean, what they're gonna do, they could very well, because it was in your plans that there's a crossover for them to use that.
Can we,
Right.
is there a site plan on, from maybe a slide or two ahead?
There isn't.
Or can we pull up an aerial?
100 and,
Ah,
114.
Here,
Page 114.
Just get it.
Hey, Laura.
This is site.
Boy Scout.
114. I know.
It's not a left turn lane to go in off of 171st Street. In fact, that configuration is designed to prevent that, exactly that. But most of the and we did a traffic study, extensive traffic study, and a study from KLOA showed that it would not impact the intersection negatively, it would not change the rating on the intersection negatively.
Well, you're gonna be bringing out cars in and out of 171st Street, right? I
Well,
mean,
there'll
they're
be
all
cars
gonna be
going
trying to
east.
come in and out now at a light.
There'll be cars going east, that would go in through that limited access. It's a right in and a right out. And then there's another, access point on Harlem Avenue, which also is fairly wide and quite a distance from there. There will be traffic, but there always is traffic with developments. The traffic study showed what the movements would be and during peak, and the planning commission looked at all that, and the staff looked at all of it, and was satisfied that
Well,
that this
yeah,
plan
I guess
was well
I'm not
thought through.
satisfied, I guess. I just don't agree. I use that property, I mean, I go that way all the time. My biggest issue is that what we're gonna change zoning to allow a gas station to be built that close to homes. That's my biggest issue.
Part of the property is zoned already. It's just the trend of development
What is
down there.
What is it, zone?
There's two different zonings on the property.
Correct.
Because there's two different.
But is it,
There's a house, and it's clearly not a residential area.
Right.
And that's the part that's being rezoned.
no, well, also that office, like,
Yes.
right now, it's meant for office space, for
Well,
not a
it's-
gas station.
It's a special use.
Right, and I get that. I sat with residents in their homes, and I listened to their complaints with Lenny's. I see this as the same thing. I just can't, it's too close to home for me. Unless I will go knock on some doors over there and ask. If they're truly okay with it, that's gonna happen, then it may help me a little bit.
The plan did that as well.
Was it both sides of Oconto that we knocked on? Just
don't know
just
the
the east side of
developer.
Oconto?
I think we went behind the houses that were adjacent to the gas station. 11 houses.
Okay.
That's quite
Any other questions, Diane, for the petitioner?
No, thank you very much. I mean, I'm sure it's just the proximity. I'm sure it's a beautiful, beautiful plan.
Anybody else from the board have any questions regarding item 9, pardon me? This is up for first reading this evening, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, we have one opposition. Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 10, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance number 2020-0-006, approving and accepting a final plat of re-subdivision for Southland's First Consolidation located at 17100 and 17110 Harlem Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The petitioner, Vanquity LLC, has requested final plat approval for the Southland's First Consolidation associated with the property, proposed 7-Eleven gas station and convenience store at 17100 and 17110 Harlem Avenue. The plat will consolidate two parcels along Harlem Avenue, resulting in a single .961 acre parcel. The plat also includes all existing utility easements, cross-access easements to neighborhood properties, and a sidewalk easement for installation of a public sidewalk in a portion of the property. The Plan Commission reviewed the final plat of re-subdivision with a recommended condition that the approval is subject to final engineering plan approved by the village engineer on January 2nd, 2020, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval. This one's also just for first reading tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Does anybody have any questions for the petitioner or for staff? I had a follow-up, and this just came to me when Diane was talking about congestion. Does the village's long-range plan have any type of cross-access, like an alley type connecting from 171st down to 173rd Street?
We do not,
to
but
connect
we are
commercial
trying,
properties?
we're trying to do cross-access with this development. We're making them do the cross-access to anticipate, the ability for those parcels to go
north-south.
south
And then the houses direct on Harlem, directly south of there, are all vacant, correct?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Except for one, which I believe is down south of the doctor's office.
The petitioner has agreed at the petitioner's expense to also take down the remaining two houses which aren't even part of this development, which clearly are eyesores, and to facilitate that development in the future.
Do they own the property? They don't own the property though, do they?
It's the same owner of all of them.
Okay.
So, yeah, they also made their concession at the request of staff, and they agreed to do that.
So the width from the back of the building as it's presented, the width from there to the back of the easement or property line would be wide enough to put in a drive, a cross access?
You're talking about behind the.
Yeah, so from where the building is situated currently on the diagram,
So we're trying to maintain a buffer here, it's
Mhm.
about 35 feet because of the residential homes. So what we're doing is we're having cross access to the south so that a continuation can happen along the front of these properties when they develop for commercial use. And we're trying to keep the back landscape
Got it.
void of traffic. That's why we also thought at least this doesn't have a drive-through. Initially, when they proposed the car wash, they were gonna propose a drive back here, and we were really concerned about that traffic and then impact, because now you're getting closer to the residential homes.
Okay.
That could be an 8-foot fence, Kimberly?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions regarding, for item 10? Again, for first reading, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. One opposition, motion will carry. Item 11, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance number 2020-0-004, granting a special use for an automotive service gas station to permit the construction of a 7-Eleven gas station at 17100 Harlem Avenue in the B1 zoning district.
Is there a second?
Second.
The petitioner, Venquity LLC, is seeking a special use permit for an automobile service gas station at 17100 Harlem Avenue in the B1 zoning district. The proposed gas station includes 10 vehicle fueling stations and a 3,511 square foot convenience store building. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on January 2nd, 2020, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the special use with recommended conditions in accordance with the plans as listed in the listed reviews plans and finding of fact in the January 2nd, 2020 staff report. This one is also just eligible for first reading.
Thank you. Any other follow-up questions regarding this item? Again, for first reading, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
One opposition. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 12, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance number 2020-0-005, granting variations from the zoning ordinance related to the lot size, lot width, lot depth, drive aisle width, and freestanding sign setback for the proposed 7-Eleven gas station and convenience store site located at 17100 Harlem Avenue in the B1 zoning district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The petitioner of Equity LLC is seeking the 5 variations related to lot size, lot width, lot depth, drive aisle width, and freestanding sign setback as part of the proposal to redevelop the properties at 17100 and 17110 Harlem Avenue for a 7-Eleven gas station site that includes 10 vehicle fueling stations and a 3,511 square foot convenience store building. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on January 22nd, 2020, and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the 5 variations and adopt the finding of fact in accordance with the plans listed in the listed reviewed plans as indicated in the January 2nd, 2020 staff report. And this final one is also just eligible for first reading tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Any board member care or comments? Do we have any questions, follow-up? Nothing for staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 13, trustee Glatz.
I would like to make a motion to consider adopting resolution 2020-R-005, authorizing a contract with Aquamis Plumbing and Lawn Sprinkling for irrigation maintenance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The proposed irrigation contract entails winterization, spring startup and repairs to the system at 7 locations: LaGrange Road, Harlem Avenue, 171st Street median, Fire Station number 4 at 191st, Oak Park Avenue, Metro Station, Village Hall, and the police station. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? It's up for adoption. Anybody from the public care to comment? Let the record reflect there's none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14, receive comments from the staff. Anybody from staff have any comments this evening? If not, we'll move on to item 15, receive comments from the board. Nothing from the board this evening. Move on to item 16, receive comments from the public.
So you know, Mr. Mayor, a lot of people complaining that they couldn't hear Mr. Sazen. Thou shalt not bear false witness is not only a principle of every world religion, but a mandate of Illinois law. In case number 18OP50387, Michael Glatz asked the judge to enter an order that would ban a citizen from entering the village hall to prevent him from speaking at board meetings. The defense attorney argued to the judge, Mr. Glatz, for some reason, there is an indignant streak to my client appearing at board meetings. I've never seen such gall that someone has, an elected official, for somebody comes to meetings. After listening to Glatz testify under oath, the judge denied Glatz's request, ruling, quote, I did not find your client was credible in his testimony. It's a tempered judicial way of saying that Mr. Glatz lied. In case number 17L65067, the issue of Glatz lying in the OP case came up.
Point of order. Mr. Mayor, are we going to keep allowing the order and decorum? Is there any order and decorum for this, for personal attacks?
I believe he's stating his public comment, and I don't see any decorum issues.
It's all personal attacks. It's just,
I don't see it as being personal at this point. I'll let it continue.
I asked the clock to be reset because I see this is just taking up my time. Mr. Mueller, I have an absolute right to comment about conduct of the official duties and the fitness of anybody, any one of your elected officials for office.
I ask that you continue to bring your comments towards the chair, sir.
I'll go over time, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I'm going to ask for more.
You're allowed 15 additional seconds for your interruption.
Case number 19, Glatz's lawyer told the judge in that case, we were at a hearing down the hall that didn't go our way. So Glatz's lawyer acknowledged that Glatz lied under oath. Case number 19CD090, the State Board of Elections ordered Glatz to amend two of his campaign finance disclosure reports. The Board of Elections found that Glatz misreported the proper beneficiaries of campaign funds he spent to pay a lawyer. Twice under oath, Glatz said he was the beneficiary, when in fact the beneficiaries were the people who had filed objections in the nominating petitions of the independent candidates in the 2019 election. Glatz didn't want to report publicly who those people were. Why? Because Patricia Hamilton is Mr. Brennan's mother-in-law. Kimberly Mutivero is Mr. Mueller's sister.
Point of order, this is not village
Mutivero is
business.
Mueller's brother-in-law.
Point of order.
On September 14th, 2018.
Point of order.
Mr. Wassick, a lawyer, a representative.
Mr. Eberhardt,
Point
can you
of order.
pause the time? And you pause your comment for a moment while I discuss with the council? Right. So it was addressed to the chair that there would be a point of order. I'd ask that the individual who addressed the point of order describe what the point of order is.
Personal attack on people's mothers, which has nothing to do, it's not germane to village business or this board.
All right, so I believe it to be overruled at that point, and I would say that I don't believe that it's threatening. I would ask that the gentleman that's giving his public comment this evening to please reel it into what is considered to be human and germane, was addressed by Mr. Glotz, and do not bring people's families' names into your comment this evening. So I'll allow you to continue. Again, there's 15 additional seconds from the interruption that took place prior. So if you can start the
But
clock
wasn't the
again.
clock stopped?
And what, no, this is from earlier, 15 seconds additional. So go ahead, you could start the clock again. Please continue your comment.
With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, I'm reading facts from the record, from the public record, and again, I have a right to comment on the conduct, the official duties, and fitness for office of any member of the selected board. September 14th, Mr. Wassick, a lawyer, represented a company that had a contract with the village, sent a cease and desist letter to Mr. Niemeyer. The letter explained about some of his complaints with BKD. BKD received some information from one of the elected officials. Mr. Wassick made clear where all the implications came from. He wrote, instead, on information and belief, BKD chose to rely on information it received from trustee Michael Watts. On information and belief, Watts is given BKD documents pertaining to the aforementioned RFQ. Once again, BKD failed to investigate the source of these documents, and whether Glass had a political agenda of his own, and if so, the reasons for that agenda, and instead accepted as true all the information provided by trustee Glass. The company was originally the low bidder, and after Glass got his fingers into it, it was changed. Simply and arguably, he preferred a different company. He made his own attacks on other political opposition, and I suggest, without comment, the FD 302s will probably tell an interesting story as well. Simply, these four documented cases, Mr. Glass lied under oath to a judge. His own lawyer acknowledged that to another judge. Mr. Glass lied under oath on 2 filings he submitted to the State Board of Elections. And he lied about elected officials and a private company to the BKD fraud investigators. And obviously, because of time constraints, I can't go through all the documentation that surfaced since May of 2017. As mentioned at the last meeting, honesty, integrity, transparency cost taxpayers nothing. Lies, childish and boorish behavior have been documented to cost the taxpayers millions. According to a former Southtown writer, who described politicians in this town like this: politicians are masters at dissembling the truth, sharing bits and pieces of information that they want you to hear, while obscuring the other parts that might not go over so well. Perfect description of this village board. George Orwell said the same thing in 1984, and in closing, I will just suggest everybody take a look at the March 5, 2019 board meeting, starting at about the 15-minute mark, and you can see all the comments and the hypocrisy and the lack of transparency. Thank you.
Are there any other comments for the record this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that. Dave, can you verify the BKD report that was done through finance and that company was chosen by trustee Michael Mangan, who also signed the contract on behalf of the village?
Probably that was done
Yeah,
through
can you,
Finance Committee.
yeah, can you verify on who handled that case and who's the one that chose it and who worked with you for that contract? Because someone has a little fuzzy memory, and I just want to get that on the record on who had anything to do with that contract.
You want him to bring that up at the next staff
No,
comment? or you
I'd
want
like
to know?
Dave to bring it up right now. Go ahead, Dave.
Trustee Mangan did sign it. I mean, to the best of my recollection, because it was a couple of years ago, it did go through the Finance Committee.
Which was not part of the committee that I was on.
Yeah, I mean, it was Trustee Mangan's committee, yeah, and he did sign the contract.
And ultimately chose that company.
And it went through the committee.
And the other part of it is the mayor appointed him as the only liaison that could talk to the company as far as anything. You were also not allowed to receive anything unless it went through trustee Mangan first, correct?
Trustee Mangan, yeah, was basically took on the role of essentially being the liaison and working with BKD.
Yeah, so.
Can you clarify
So we took
that?
an elected official to be the direct contact on a BKD fraud exam of the village, which you were not the point person on the report, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can you clarify who appointed the liaison? It was suggested that the mayor did, and I just want to make sure that's not clear.
Again, to the best of my recollection, this was a couple of years ago, I think trustee Mangan at the meeting suggested that as the finance chair that he do that, and I don't think there was any dissension. I think that's how it came about, so.
So to the best of your recollection, it was not directed by the mayor to appoint a single
I don't
person.
recall that, no.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have 6 seconds
He's-
left. Can I use-
No, your time is suspended, sir.
Two
Thank you.
weeks, Steve.
We'll move on to item 17. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following items. A, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. B, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Or C, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal. Or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Will be adjourned into executive session, and there shall be nothing to follow. Thank you and have a good evening.